Yeah, so Professor Huang, we have some questions for you. I'll bring the questions to you. So the first question that we have is by David Rossi. So could it be useful for your philosophical approach, the integrated analytical approach involving chemical structure, surface investigation at the same time for the same sample?
That's a great question. So the power of the structure-property relationship is that it's extremely broad and diverse because the structure has many different length scales. So now applying to a surface, then what we need to do is identify the structural features, structural parameters, and then you can connect those structural features to a property, an element of the property. I think it is absolutely useful. And again, I did not invent this. I think this has been practiced by many leading scientists in this area. And I would like to advocate for all students, again, to maybe train yourself to think more towards that way. I personally found it incredibly powerful. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Huang. So we have one question about that interesting method of hair dye that you talked about. So is there any side effect in the body on using it? So there
Yeah,
is a
this is a
question about.
great question, and it's a very well justified. So the short answer is that at this time there are not enough experiments to completely rule out, because okay, we're not even in the deployment state yet. But based on what people have known, because graphene flakes are much larger than molecules, these are micron scale particles. They don't easily naturally penetrate skin barrier. Now, for side effect, you should also think about what is this trying to displace. This can partially displace some of the permanent hair dyes, which relies on very diffusive and reactive molecules. Those are all pretty bad for the environment as well. And it can also partially replace the semi-permanent hair dyes, which uses, again, a much smaller size of, it's a mixture of like chemical dyes and pigment particles. So I am optimistic about this, but at the same time, I do need to present the status that there just hasn't been enough interest to study those effects yet. But you got some inspirations from like the skin tattoos using graphene materials, right? I mean, that's pretty much the same, I guess, a health concern or safety concern right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So moving on to the next question. Is it possible, it's by Sony C. George, and is it possible to control the carbon oxygen ratio in graphene oxide by using an appropriate oxidizing agent during the oxidation of graphite? For
Yeah.
instance,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, for instance, to get a higher oxygen content, what kind of oxidizing agent is preferred?
Okay, so can we control the carbon oxygen ratio in graphene oxide through oxidizing reaction? So the quick answer is that people have done quite a big work in this. So far, the most common oxidizing agent is potassium permanganate coupled with hydrogen peroxide in the second step. And I think that I have read about work where people control the oxidation time that will increase the oxidation level. Now, there is a catch that with the same size of sheets, there's only so much you can do because oxidation is very disruptive. It's a way to introduce point defects on the basal plane. So if you have too many point defects, the sheets become very easily, can very easily tear. So when you increase oxidation time, you do get higher oxidation level, but a side effect is that you also get smaller sheets. Okay, that's something that needs to be worked out. But you can also reduce the degree of oxidation by first oxidize a sheet, but then controllably reduce it, okay, by heating or by treating with a reducing agent.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Huang.
Okay.
So we'll take two or three more questions in the interest of time. So how scalable is the on-mask chemical modulation technique, and is the mask reusable? So this is the next question for us.
Okay, so how scalable it is. So we chose polyaniline because that was for us a lab scale that can be very easily scaled up by say tens of centimeter or even meter scale. Um, how scalable it is out there in industry, I think this is a question outside my expertise. But again, if you look at the material cost, polyaniline is inexpensive. especially when you make it. I mean, high school student, elementary school student can make it. Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of how reusable it is, okay, so the modifying layer can be reutilized when the acid is depleted or copper is depleted locally. You can always wash it and then just reload it, because again, this is leveraging the reversible doping dedoping chemistry of polyaniline. Okay.
Yeah. So in line with the same question we have, in addition to that, by Ananta, that what is the pore size of the floating size that is used in the mask generally?
What is sorry, can you say that
Pore
again?
size, pore size of the floating or the
Oh,
floating size used in the mask.
the pore size used in a mask. For standardized mask, I think there are standardized number out there. I don't remember those right off my head, but those can be easily formed. But for the pore size used in our fabric, these are much larger. But the good thing is that both medical gowns and the wipes, these are non-woven fabrics. So the fibers are non-woven. So if you look at the pores, they are huge. They are maybe microns and even tens of microns, but because it's non-woven, so there's no direct straight path for droplets to just fly through. So this drastically increases their chance to interact with the fibers. And that is why we use them as the base for chemical modification, because chemical modification relies on droplet fiber interaction.
Yeah. So as you talked about the use of polyaniline, so Rahul has a question. Polyaniline material is very less hydrophilic. How do you think it can be made useful?
Okay, so that's a good question. Polyaniline itself is is in a relatively hydrophobic site. Itself meaning undoped one, but when you dope it, you protonate the backbone, you make the backbone charged up. So effectively, you are converting that into a polyelectrolyte-like material. So the doped one is very hydrophilic. So that also is a design criteria. That's why we use that to modify the droplet. Okay, the acid doped one is hydrophilic, so they attract droplets. When they are dissolved away, depleted, you can try to reload it. And the acid doping, dedoping also produce a color change, so you can visually observe whether the acid has been depleted or not. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Huang. So we'll take the
Okay.
last question, I think. Uh, so Sutapa has this question: will the chemical layer in the mask damage the virus or just make it less effective in terms of its infectious nature?
Okay, that's also a very good question. It's not a very easy, and there's not a very easy answer to that. Now, how much damage you do depends on the acid concentration, but also the time you allow them to be exposed to acid. So if you're thinking about like a droplet after being not modified, directly got inhaled right away, I think at best it will make it less infectious. But if the droplet have time to float around, stay airborne, or maybe get trapped on some physical objects, that will give them a lot more time to for the acid to act on them or copper to act on them. So in that case, I think you have much higher chance to completely inactivate them. So again, the virus particles are very fragile, very delicate. So you give it enough time, dry it up, treat it with acid metal ions, they will be broken quite easily. And once they are broken, they will not be able to fulfill their function. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, Professor Huang, we have a lot of questions coming in, but again,
Okay.
in the interest of time, we cannot take all that, and we are very sorry for that. But I think it would be good to take this last small question by Madhukar. Your view about a possible polyaniline air purifier in hospitals or theaters or stadiums. So, what's your thought on that? Is it like uh, in future prospect? Is it possible, scalable in that sense?
Yeah, so for all these filtration applications, we first need to understand the requirement on the performance, right? For the mask modification concept right here, I need to make sure it does not come this way. And I actually don't necessarily care much about where the droplet, because we're not generating a large quantity of the droplet. We're not worried about polluting the air outside here. But if you load it on a filter, there are extra concerns about that. So I don't think you can just directly copy this over. You will have to modify that with those specifically boundary conditions in your application in mind. So this is another sort of going back to the philosophy, understand the problem based on your experience. If you want to make an air filter for a theater, maybe go to a theater and watch how that's been utilized and talk to people to see what are the expectations. So again, polyaniline is a good model system for us, but I'm not saying that you should stick to this material. There are so many smart people out there, so many wonderful materials out there. So you can find another material or this one, okay?
Yeah. So thank you very much, Professor Huang. Now, on behalf of audience, I must thank again for such an insightful and illustrative talk. So it was really relevant and like new idea of like a raining of new ideas came out for the new scientific generation, and they will definitely enjoy. They definitely enjoyed it, and we think that this will be uh, a course of new discussion coming in the future, and we'll definitely like to have you in this platform in coming in coming
Okay,
talks also.
thank you.
So for the
For the
participants, yeah,
for
please.
other questions, if you send me a list of those, I can try to write up answers and send it back to you.
Definitely we'll do that, Professor Huang.
Yeah.
And for the participants, we'll be sending the certificates for this session, and thank you so much once again for joining us with us in this wonderful session. And thank you so much, Professor Huang, for
Okay.
joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.